for Nikki Kay.
Question be now put.
I'll hear from Raymond Ho.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Like some of my colleagues, my mind was full of the budget debate because I was due to take a call on the budget right after my colleague David Clark. But suddenly everything has been reprogrammed or rescheduled. It appears that we were ambushed in a manner like the senior citizens in New Zealand were ambushed by way of the rest home legislation that was rammed through last Friday under urgency. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to touch upon two main issues, and the very first one is in relation to the explanation given by the Minister in the chair. Before I gave the details, I'd like to say Labour does support this bill, which was originally introduced by the Honourable Leon Dezelle, a wonderful minister, and then later adopted by the Honourable Simon Power, and now the Rising Star Minister in the chair, Craig Force. No, Rising Star is one of the very good ministers. The first issue is in relation to confidentiality or the protection of confidentiality. The minister in the chair, I believe in my submission that his explanation is not sufficient enough to address some concerns as expressed by submitters, for instance, Vodafone, Telecom, and also Russell McVeigh, as mentioned by the Honourable Leon Dezelle. In general, allowing the Commerce Commission to share information with overseas parties would generate greater risk of disclosure to third parties. And Russell McVeigh is of the view that the bill, as currently drafted, goes significantly further than the cooperation agreements that are currently in place. The safeguards provided in this bill may not be sufficient to adequately protect sensitive information exchanged between a corporate or an individual and the Commerce Commission from disclosure to overseas regulators. Common sense would say that once information leaves its hands, our Commerce Commission may well lose its ability and power to control the end user of that piece of information. Therefore, a greater clarity is required in respect of the circumstances in which our Commerce Commission can make use of its statutory information gathering powers. Further, greater ex-ante controls on the provision of information to foreign regulators are necessary. Why ex-ante? Ex-ante means before the event, because unless there are control mechanisms in place prior to the event, it will be too late. If it is too late, in other words, where a breach of confidentiality by an overseas regulator occurs, are there any remedies available to the victim or victims? Practically, there will be very few, if any, according to Vodafone. I agree to Vodafone's submission that once information is closed to overseas regulators, New Zealand Commerce Commission itself has very little ability to ensure its continued protection. Also, there is no ability for a party to appeal against the Commission's decision to make disclosure to the overseas regulator in the first place. In its current form, the bill provides that the Commission may impose conditions on the provision of information to overseas regulator. Vodafone, in its submission, requested that if information is given to the Commission in confidence, the bill should require the Commission to protect that confidentiality to the greatest extent possible. So that brings us to the next question concerning the use of existing or historical information by Mr. Chair. That brings us to the next question concerning the use of existing or historical information by the New Zealand Commerce Commission. It is not clear whether the information sharing powers under this bill are intended to have no retrospective effect. In its current form, it is not clear. So that's why I wish the Minister and the Chair would take a call to give us further explanation as to the respective effect of this particular bill. The submitter's view is that the bill needs to be amended to provide that information that has been compulsorily acquired by New Zealand Commerce Commission prior to the date of enactment may not be shared with an overseas regulator. Mr. Chair, without the clarity, the bill poses a risk that the New Zealand Commerce Commission could apply the bill with retrospective effect. Russell McVeigh's view is valid that A, historical information should be defined in the bill, and New Zealand Commerce Commission is prevented from making use of that piece of information, and B, the bill should provide for more clarity, although the issue can be resolved with reference to the Interpretation Act 1999, which requires that an act is pursued to not have retrospective effect. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mark Mitchell.